So it would seem that Donald Trump might be the guy when it comes to UFO and alien disclosure, as TMZ and multiple other sources have put out that Trump knows all about extraterrestrial life forms, and apparently this is coming from the Age of Disclosure director. So the Age of Disclosure, of course, is one of the biggest documentaries to come out, and it's really stirred up a lot of talk about UFOs and aliens, and it's really kind of brought it into mainstream media. It isn't just this kind of taboo topic anymore, where people look at it and are like, do you know what? Yeah, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists only talk about aliens. No, it turns out that, well, apparently a lot of other people are talking about it as well. And there's other articles as well coming out that apparently in recent interviews, David Grush mentioned that President Trump is well briefed on UFOs, and apparently previous presidents before Donald Trump, including George W. Bush, knew of the 1964 alien contact with humans in New Mexico. Right? Like, this is huge. So we've got a lot to talk about in today's video. So let's kind of get into it. Now, first of all, obviously, we're going to talk about the TMZ article, right? Because the TMZ article is arguably one of the bigger ones to come out recently. Came out on November 21st, 2025, and it was entitled, "Trump Could Be the One to Confirm Alien Life," says documentary director. Now, it's a short piece focusing on the claims made by Dan Farrow, who is the director of the newly released UFO documentary, The Age of Disclosure. And the story has since gone viral, sparking discussion across social media and other outlets about potential government disclosure on extraterrestrial life. However, it's important to note up front that this isn't a direct report of Trump breaking the news himself. Many people have kind of gone with that. It's speculation from Farrow based on unnamed sources tied to the promotion of his film. Now, there's no official confirmation from Trump at this time, or his administration, or the White House as of November 2025 about aliens, because obviously, if there was, that would be an even bigger story. Now, these are kind of the key focuses of the article. So Trump's potential role. So Farrow asserts that President Donald Trump might just be the one to confirm the existence of extraterrestrial life, and he claims it has become aware of the base facts about humanity's place in the universe, implying non-human intelligence, and that his team is actively trying to decide a course of action on how to handle this information. So that's kind of Trump's potential role within this. Then there's the connection to the documentary. So The Age of Disclosure, which premieres on SXSW in March of 2025, alleges that an 80-year global cover-up of non-human intelligence life and a secret war among major nations to reverse engineer advanced technology of non-human origin. Farrow interviewed 34 US government insiders, including military and intelligence officials, from the film. And he told TMZ that the documentary is, quote-unquote, on Trump's radar 100%. And sources from the film, plus external ones, informed him of Trump's briefings on UAPs. So, obviously, that's quite a big deal. Now, Trump's past on. So the piece references Trump's mixed history on the topic during his 2024 campaign. He vowed to declassify UFO files if re-elected. However, in a 2024 Joe Rogan interview, Trump said he's, quote, never been a believer in UFOs, but added, quote, there's no reason not to think that Mars and all of these planets don't have life. So obviously, very contradicting statements there from President Donald Trump with regards to aliens and stuff like this. So, to put it in a nutshell, the director of the Age of Disclosure documentary basically is of the understanding that Donald Trump is very well aware of what's going on, as he usually is, and a lot of people have kind of stated that presidents, right, and this is coming from insider sources and stuff like this, I can't remember who stated this, I think it was David Grush might have even said it, that presidents are also on a need-to-know basis when it comes to UFOs. They don't actually get briefed on it. It's like, here's what you need to know, but all the details are kept from the presidents as well. So this is like even more secretive than what presidents are able to know, which is insane to think. But this interview has also kind of come out recently, which shows that a recent interview with David Grush, and how he mentioned that President Trump is well briefed about the UFOs. However, a few years back, NBC News did this news segment on the former Israeli space security chief, H. Eshed, mentioning that the US and Israel have been in contact with the Galactic Federation. Yeah, this is a genuine thing, ladies and gentlemen. Take a little listen to this.
Aliens exist and President Trump knows about it. That's according to Israel's former space security chief. In an interview with an Israeli newspaper, he said the aliens have been waiting until today for humanity to develop and reach a stage where we will understand in general what space and spaceships are. NBC News chief global correspondent Bill Neely explains this one.
Hi, Alison. Well, this is quite a story, and it comes from the man who headed Israel's space security program for nearly 30 years. Chaim Eshed is making the extraordinary claim that the United States and Israel have been in contact with a group of aliens for years. Not immigrants, but extraterrestrials. He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand what space really is. Well, the good news is that he claims an agreement has been reached between the US government and the aliens, a contract to do experiments here. There's also, he says, a secret underground base on Mars where there are American and alien representatives. Now, this former head of a branch of Israel's defense ministry is 87. He was very well respected, at least until now. And he said all this in an interview with an Israeli newspaper in Hebrew, but it's really taken off after parts of it were published in English by the Jerusalem Post today. He says he's come forward now in the hope that his news will be accepted as true. He notes that if he'd made these claims 5 years ago, he would have been hospitalized, but now he says, I've got nothing to lose. Well, so far, President Trump has not tweeted about this, though remember a year ago he did set up the Space Force as the fifth branch of the US Armed Forces. Well, we did ask the White House, the Department of Defense and Israeli officials to comment. So far, they have not responded to the NBC News request, and I wonder if they ever will.
There you go. So it kind of adds layers and dimensions to all of this, doesn't it? But then, obviously, keeping on the topic of US presidents being aware of things and what they are and aren't aware of, another article has dropped by the New York Post this time, and it states that President George H.W. Bush knew of the 1964 alien contact with humans in New Mexico in a documentary. So this, again, adds a whole nother layer to it. So let's talk about this one, because this is just equally as interesting. So within the article, which was published on the 22nd of 2025, the article, obviously titled about President Bush and bylined by Shane Galvin, dives into the explosive claims from the same UFO documentary Age of Disclosure that fueled the recent TMZ story on Trump, and this piece spotlights testimony around the purported 1964 extraterrestrial encounter at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico, allegedly known to former President H.W. Bush, who served from 1989 to 1993. And like the TMZ report, it's tied to the promotional buzz of the film that is dropping, and which dropped on Amazon Prime on the same day. No new physical evidence is presented within these, and it's all based on insider interviews, but it adds fuel to the ongoing UAP disclosure debates, and as of November 24th, 2025, there's no corroborated information from official sources, and the story has rippled through media and social platforms. Now, here's the key points from said article. Talking about the incident first. So according to an astrophysicist, Eric W. Davis, a former Pentagon consultant on advanced aerospace threats, Bush confided in him during a 2003 private conversation about a secret event at Holloman Air Force Base. Davis claims that Bush described 3 UFOs approaching the base, with one landing and an interstellar being emerging to engage in a face-to-face meeting with the US military and CIA officials. Bush reportedly learned of this decades later, post his presidency, but was denied further details due to lacking need to know, despite his CIA director background from 1976 to 1977. Now, here's what Bush allegedly knew. So the article quotes Davis as saying Bush was flabbergasted by the info, but couldn't share more. And the ties this to a broader government secrecy, noting presidents are always briefed on UFO matters, echoing Davis's line, "I think that really is a naive understanding about how government works." Now, looking at this from a broader documentary revelation, The Age of Disclosure alleges covert legacy programs run by the CIA, Air Force, and Department of Energy and contractors to retrieve crashed UFOs and non-human bodies. Other interviewees include Hal Puthoff, who was ex-head of NASA's UFO program and A-tip physicist, who claims these bodies are recovered are not all the same type from various crashes, hinting at multiple alien species. And also references to a 1988 Tic Tac UFO crash in Russia where an alien remains were allegedly recovered. And then implications, of course, the film argues this secrecy poses national security risk with calls for transparency, with Farrer predicting it could push the future president like Trump towards disclosure. So, two big articles dropping, obviously, around the Age of Disclosure. Yes, I am very well aware that these articles definitely would have been used to push the numbers and the ratings for this documentary. Absolutely. There's no two ways about it. But at the same time, they are moving the needle with people being interested in this topic. And I think that's what's important to remember here is that, you know, yes, we're talking about aliens. Yes, we're talking about UFOs. Yes, it's all about ratings and numbers, especially when Amazon wants to get the ratings in and the viewers in. But it's also a bit more than just that. And that's what we're starting to see with these documentaries and also with these articles. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.